Peace and blessings, family. Welcome to Sunday Sitting with Sisters. We back up in the building. Peace, Sister Dana. How you?
I'm doing great, Ro. I'm glad to be here sitting with you and our esteemed guests.
Right on, right on. So, if you're joining us today, we have an awesome guest. Dana, tell us who we got.
Okay, we have before us Queen Ketnu Nefer, and she is a women's health coach, author, a goddess, LMT, herbalist, a dance teacher, a girl trekker, and a soror. Uh,
Right
she,
on.
yes, she lives in Washington, D.C., and she is from Johns Island, South Carolina. She is also the founder, director, and CEO at Gula Geechee Herbal Gathering. And so we are so grateful to have you sitting before us.
Right on. And this sister is also a dancer. She's
Thank you.
also a CEO of a Soulful Touch Wellness Inc. And
Yes.
since we want to touch on some of all of these things, first of all, let's just back up a minute and go to the root on you. Johns Island, South Carolina. Where is that, and what is it like there? Because most of us don't even know about that. Period.
Right.
Oh, wow. Well, first and foremost, thank you both for having me on today. I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing, and I'm grateful to be a part of this um, podcast. And so, Johns Island, South Carolina is a small coastal sea island outside of Charleston, South Carolina. Most people are
Uh-oh.
familiar with Charleston. Johns Island is about miles, 8 miles downtown Charleston, and it is a beautiful island. I was just there this past weekend. I now live in DC, but I went down to check up on my mom with this COVID stuff and place my eyes on my family. But it used to be a very rural island, but now due to gentrification, it is being vastly developed. But it's still small, homey, still a lot slower than DC, but beautiful place to visit, to live. Um, and I'm very grateful for the upbringing that I had coming up there as a child.
Wow. Wow. Um, Gullah Geechee. Um, what is
Mhm.
a Gullah Geechee?
Yes.
Well, the Gullah Geechee people culture derives from those enslaved and was brought to Charleston. A lot of people don't know that more than 80% of through the port of Charleston. And so the Gullah Geechee people is basically an amalgamation of all those who were brought from various areas of West Africa, from Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Angola, and that's where the word Gullah they say is derived from because they couldn't say Angola, so they chopped it up and said Gullah. Um, and we are direct descendants of these enslaved people, and we have retained a lot of the traditional African things. Go to John's Island or St. Helena or Beaufort or any other of the islands in the Gullah Geechee Nation and see some of the things that you may be seeing in West Africa, Ghana, Ivory Coast, that type of stuff. We talk about foods, traditional stuff, like how we live. A lot of us tend to live out. Like most of my family live 2 to 3 people in one yard. So you have my aunt and her 2 daughters, or a brother, sister, then father-in-law. So we have maintained that as well. And then there's the language. And so most people know either Gullah or Geechee, but we have put them together so it's not to,
Okay.
make one feel greater than the other because people identify as both.
Right on. Right on.
Okay. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So, can I ask a question? When
Yeah.
was the Gullah Geechee Nation formed? Like, was it directly after slavery, or how, I'm sorry, I don't know the history of it.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, well, what we know now is termed as the Gullah Geechee Nation was actually formed in the late 80s, because it wasn't addressed as the Gullah Geechee Nation. There is a Gullah Geechee Coalition, and the Gullah Geechee Nation itself spans from Jacksonville, North Carolina, all the way down the coast to Jacksonville, Florida, and 100 miles in. So that is the designated area of the Gullah Geechee Nation. And we have a chiefess. Her name is Queen Quet. She's originally from St. Helena Island, and she was installed by a council of elders. I actually just did an interview with her a couple of days ago. And so, that's what that is. But there's people who identify as Gullah Geechee within that corridor. So we're talking a span of over almost 500 miles north and south, and then 100 miles east and west. So that was, the amalgamation of those people. And then, with the great exodus, a lot of them moved to New York, Chicago, Detroit, Philly. Like, some of us who may say, my grandmother's Geechee, my grandmother Geechee, because they migrated up north. So this is from that vast landmass.
So your herbal background, was any of that inspired by growing up in that community and being a descendant of Gullah Geechee people from South Carolina?
Yes. My maternal grandmother, Thelma Victoria Murray, who's not ancestor, she was what I now know as a community herbalist. I just knew my grandmother help their friends. They come and get some herbs, they leave, that type of thing. I would go foraging with her in, the woods. We would pick this, or she would say, don't touch that stings. She was talking about stinging nettle, or, and I was a small girl. She transitioned when I was, so a lot of the things that I did with her, I was very, very young. So I didn't retain it as well as I would have liked. But in retrospect, when I started in it for my own self, I started realizing that I was remembering a lot of the things that my grandmother actually showed me, or I watched her do, making the tincture. She had a pantry where she canned stuff, or she would make tinctures and things like that. So you would be able to go and, get some medicine from her. So in the direct lineage of that, I haven't really traced to see, who in her lineage has done that, but I feel like it was passed on. That's what's been brought to me integrally.
So how did that then in turn lead into your name and the spiritual tradition that you practice?
Well, my spiritual name is Kemetic, and it means as I serve God, I achieve success. And I received that after I completed my Egyptian yoga certification down in Miami about almost 10 years ago. So my birth name is LaDawn Frazier. So most people who know me, they know me either as LaDawn or Ketnu. So they're interchangeable for me. I'm not one of those like, don't call me by my government name, because my father named me in both things. My father came through in my reading, so he's an ancestor as well. So I don't see it as a government name. I feel like that was something with him, because technically I was supposed to be a junior. My father's name is Lerone Frazier, and they told my parents I was a boy up until birth. And, 45 years ago, they didn't have the 3D sonograms and stuff like that. So they named me Lerone Jr. And so when I saw this beautiful bouncing girl come out, he decided to name me LaDawn Francis, and he's Lerone Francis. So, but yeah, so the Kemetic name came through the certification, and I practice several things. I'm a student of the world, so I don't subscribe to one thing, but Ketnu resonates with me again because of the connection with my father. So that's why I present as that.
Right on. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. So another question I would ask, we're going to get into it, but I like to do the build up because I like to get to know who people are. So you said something that was key, that you're named after your father, which is a big thing. And in my family, we all are named after somebody else. Like that goes so far back in my family. when you learn about a tradition or return to a tradition, or how do you deal with your name change? And because some people really struggle with, oh, I'm named after my Uncle Roland, to be honest with you, on another side of the family. It's a long story, but and then I also have other spiritual names. But for me, it's like I feel like it's not dishonoring Roland because I have these other names. To me, it's more of
Right.
a part of myself. Did you ever have a time when you
Right.
had to deal with that? Like I had, they always make fun of the '60s. I got a new name. Don't call me by that slave name. But it's like, no, I'm really named
Right.
after somebody that's great. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
how
Right.
did you deal
Right.
with that?
Right. Yeah. No, definitely. I can relate. And I remember after receiving my RIN, and changing it on Facebook for a lot of different reasons. But people were calling my mom and texting my mom and like, what's going on with Dawn? Like, is she Muslim now? What's this name? What that mean? And all that other stuff. And so there was all this craziness, and no one ever asked me. They act like they were tattletaling on me to my mom. And my mom was like, I don't care what that child call herself. She's my daughter, whatever she goes by, I'm gonna honor that or whatever, but she's my child. I know her as my child. And so I never really received a lot of pushback or anything like that. People pretty know me to be very assertive in who I am, and who I express myself as. So it was just that transitioning, and people were like, when they mess up Cat Noon, I'm like, it's all good. You can call me LaDawn. Like, it's not like I don't beat people up by calling me by my birth name. So it's just one of those things, is that whatever resonates with your spirit is what I tell people. If you can pronounce it and it feels good coming off your tongue, then call me that. Just don't call me out of my name or anything crazy. So that's how I roll with that.
Right on, right on. That's absolutely beautiful. What does your full spiritual name mean?
It means as I serve God, I achieve success.
That's beautiful.
That
That's
is beautiful.
absolutely beautiful. So you're named after your dad, but your name also has that. Then you have your spiritual name. Like, see that, to me, that's all good vibrations to me.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That's
it's,
absolutely beautiful.
it's a call to task. It's a call to task because my first name is LaDawn, and if you break down the French of that, is the dawn is the rising of the sun, and I'm a Leo as well, so I'm a sun sign. So it's just, if you want to
Mhm.
get into it metaphysically,
Right on.
it's a real deep purpose and presence that I need to carry, and then with the spiritual name of, doing what I'm supposed to be doing, walking in my purpose. When I walk in my purpose, I don't struggle. When I walk in my purpose, I don't falter. I don't, tarry, what I'm saying? So when I do that, the universe, the most high, the creator, whatever you identify is that, so when I'm serving God through walking in my purpose and doing what I'm supposed to do, there's nothing I can't have. There's nothing I can't achieve. There's nothing that I can't do. So that success is already granted. So it's up to me to ensure that. And so it's just a reminder of me to do just that.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So let's get into this healing part, because all of that what you
Yeah.
said to me was like, sounds like a journey. Number one,
Mhm.
most of us now are looking at things around healing. You
Mhm.
are a herbalist. You are a dancer. You are a spiritualist. You are a coach. I mean, all of this stuff is around
A lot.
wellness, what we need right now desperately on the planet.
Mhm.
Like I am somewhere in Arizona, and I'm with this queen mother here, and man, like I learned so much yesterday on greens and the earth, and I mean it's just been like really empowering. And we don't even realize that we're walking on herbs. We're walking on healing if we can identify. Having a garden shifts your wellness. Being able to
Yes.
see that garden every day.
Yeah.
Um, when did you really know you wanted to be a herbalist? That's number one. And then number two, how would you recommend people to start to get to know herbs?
Um, well, my herbal journey, like I said, it started from birth, and my the Gullah Geechee people, we were. eco-friendly before it became in vogue and trendy and stuff like that. We still live off of the land. Granted that we're losing a lot of the land and access to the waters and stuff like that. So it was how I was brought up. Like we didn't run to the doctor for everything. You know, we had gardens in our yards and stuff like that. So eating fresh produce and all of that was normal for me. It wasn't an enrolled thing. It wasn't a thing of privilege. You know, there weren't Whole Foods and all these great things when I was growing up. So just knowing that I had access to that and I could go outside and pick a fresh tomato and know what that feels and tastes like, a vine ripe tomato. You know what I'm saying? I picked with my own hands. I didn't have to wait for it to be shipped from somewhere else. So professionally, the herbalism came, I became a massage therapist first. So I've been a massage therapist for over 16 years. And my clients would ask me 50,000 things on the table that were kind of sort of out of my scope of practice at the time. But at the same time, I was able to answer their questions because I've always been a voracious reader and an avid learner. And so the holistic health thing was just always kind of swirling around me, and I was able to answer their questions. So in order to be a better steward to my community, I said I would go and study herbalism. So I graduated from the American College of Healthcare Sciences in Portland, Oregon. And so that's what kind of really pushed that forward with the herbalism thing. And so to get people started in herbalism, gardening is the first tool, you know, because life gets life. And so being able to put your hands in the dirt and being able to see something go from seed to fruit is such a beautiful lesson for us to always witness on our own, because just going to the grocery store and picking it up, it kind of disconnects us from that. And so a lot of things that we think of herbs that we feel we need to grow are actually the culinary herbs. You know what I'm saying? So if you are one who are already great in the kitchen and utilizing your herbs, you know, and that's something that comes from the continent. We've always known how to use spices and things like that. Those are herbs. So using your culinary herbs is a great way to get started, and starting in your kitchen. So even if you're saying like, I'm not outside, I don't like bugs and all that other stuff, you can start in the kitchen and using your culinary herbs, your pepper, your thyme, your oregano, allspice, turmeric. All of those are great culinary herbs that you can just utilize right now in your kitchen today. And so becoming a kitchen herbalist is a great start.
What is one of the ailments that you see happening with us a lot, that instituting some smaller type of herbs into your life could kind of curve some of that? Like we know diabetes is high, hypertension is high, stress is high. Yeah. What are some of the herbal things we could institute into our life that would help us to have a more holistic approach to dealing with that?
Great question.
Yeah. Awesome question. Like there's like 5 top herbs that I like to say that everyone, especially women, especially Black women, need to be utilizing in their herbal tool chest. The first one would be ginger. Ginger is a really great herb to use. It's a fire herb. Is, you know, anti-spasmodic. It slows down the intestinal tract. It helps with nausea, vomiting. It helps with the blood pressure. So it's one that's simple, and it could be something as simple as slicing some up and boiling some and making a tea with it, or